Welcome back to St. Paul's Church National Historic Site here in Mount Vernon, New York, and our ongoing series, History from St. Paul's. Today we explore the story behind the small brown wooden case pipe organ resting comfortably at the center of the gallery at St. Paul's, including a brief recital. Melodious organs are today a common fixture in Protestant churches, but that was not always the case. Following the Reformation in the 1500s, organs were characterized by many Protestant leaders as too closely tied to the Roman Catholic Church, even vestiges of paganism and superstitious, which interfered with authentic religious experiences. Sources of intense controversy in European Protestant circles, organs were removed and banned from many churches. Puritan congregations in colonial America, including the parish that established St. Paul's in 1665, avoided them. Singing of psalms unaccompanied by music was the acceptable form of worship, supplemented by a tuning fork in the early 19th century. The introduction of an organ at St. Paul's in the mid-1830s corresponded with a pattern of the gradual acceptance of instruments as a vital part of worship. It was part of a pattern of a return to elements of Christianity that had been omitted during the Protestant Reformation. The addition of an organ at St. Paul's was also part of a response to widespread complaints in the early 19th century about the quality of the musical element of services in Protestant churches. One of the parish's wealthier members, George Rapelier, son of an original St. Paul's congregant, contributed the $800 in 1833 necessary to purchase the instrument. In today's money, that would be about $18,000. Successful merchants and builders living near what is today Co-op City in the northern Bronx, the Rapeliers built some of their fortune through toll collection on a bridge they operated over the Hutchinson River. And when the church, through the Rapeliers, finally invested in an organ, they chose the best, an Erben. Born in 1804 in New York City, Henry Erben was the son of Peter Erben, for decades the organist at famed Trinity Episcopal Church on Lower Broadway in Manhattan. Henry Erben established an organ-making concern in the 1820s, and his ultimate output of more than 800 pipe organs found homes ranging from small residences to large cathedrals across the United States as well as Central and South America. Pugnacious and strong-willed, Erben was a master craftsman who considered each organ leaving his shop as a personal statement on his worth as a builder. He was a bold businessman before police and security were well developed, when physical bravery was an important asset for a successful entrepreneur. Erben clashed sometimes physically with neighbors, rivals, and street toughs aligned with machine politicians. Carefully constructing instruments in his factory on Center Street when he produced the St. Paul's organ, Erben's operations were struck several times with arson and industrial sabotage, but he relocated to other lower Manhattan buildings and returned to the enterprise of producing the finest organs of his day. The St. Paul's instrument is one of the nation's oldest functioning pipe organs still in its original setting. Modeled on English instruments of the late 18th century, the smaller Erben organs were designed to blend tonal characteristics of warmth, subtlety, and clarity. 18-foot pedal keys triggering lower register notes were added in the 1800s, and an electric blower was installed in the 20th century to power the bellows process. But other than those additions, the stately-looking instrument, including the entire action, is original. It has a small, limited range of 58 ivory-covered keynotes, or really 5 octaves. 8 draw-knob, ivory-covered stops frame the keys, arranged vertically. Names of those stops are engraved in script. Adjustment of those stops is an important element in altering the range and pitch of the organ's sounds. 27 half-round wood dummy pipes decorate the facade. In 2000, the St. Paul's Erben organ was recognized by the Organ Historical Society as an instrument of exceptional historical merit worthy of preservation. From the mid-1830s through the late 1970s, organ music was an important ritualistic part of worship at St. Paul's, and Franklin D. Roosevelt, who visited in the 1930s, among others, enjoyed its sweet sounds. The organist in 1861, a man named O.W. Street, joined the Union Army to fight in the Civil War. but as a show of support, the vestry, the church's ruling council, voted to continue his weekly salary of $4. In an example of almost inevitable disagreements over the utilitarian element of historic objects, there were organists in the 20th century at St. Paul's who complained about the limited range of the instrument in comparison with other church organs of the day. Yet, other organists appreciated its historic quality and design. Donald R.M. Patterson, who was raised in the area, played the organ for wedding celebrations as a teenager in the 1940s. This musical experience generated an interest in 19th century organs, and Patterson went on to a distinguished career as an organ historian, performer, and professor of music at Cornell University. Charles Reed, who also taught French at Scarsdale High School, served as organist for the final 33 years of the active parish and performed some concerts in the mid-1980s when St. Paul's opened as a National Historic Site. Careful stabilization work has been carried out over the past 20 years. Even now, nearly 190 years after the Erben was placed in the church gallery, visitors appreciate the sounds and history of the instrument through recitals by St. Paul's concert organist in residence Catherine Jones, who is the organist at nearby Huguenot Church of Pelham, New York. To close here, enjoy a brief recital by Ms. Jones on the 19th century organ. Please join us again next time for more History from St. Paul's.